I am Sam Interface. I am a music producer, mix engineer, DJ, and record label owner. We're here today in the Carpet Shop in Peckham. I run a night in this club alongside a few of my friends called No Edits, my record label More Time, alongside Hoover Sound, Scuffed, and Future Bounce. We came together to create a night that was focused more on community and like just sharing knowledge. Dance music can be quite capitalist. I think it's really important to do things just purely for the love. I feel like I've been obsessed with music as long as I can remember. Like from being a really young kid, I remember I used to get Smash Hits magazine and I was into like Take That and Eternal. I'm showing my age. And then as I got older, I think Oasis and that whole kind of Britpop kind of thing, Supergrass. And I also grew up in Glastonbury, home of, probably the most famous music festival in the world. Going to Glastonbury, I kind of had my first experiences of dance music and fell in love at an early age, around 15, 16, with drum and bass music. And from there, I started going up to Bristol and going to raves. I had facial hair quite young, so I managed to get into the raves quite young. So around 16, I was regularly going to raves in Bristol. And I had this idea that I wanted to put on a rave in my local area. So I booked out this place called Glastonbury Assembly Rooms, printed up some flyers, designed them myself, handed them out at college. Yeah, the night was like I had 300 people. It was a 200 capacity venue and I had 300 sort of 13 to 20-year-olds queuing up outside of this hall on a Friday night. And from there, I made quite good money from that. And invested it into kind of records. I wasn't even really DJing. I didn't DJ on the first event, but we started doing more events and I started DJing at the events and linked up with some older kids who were producing music and they invited me into the studio, and from the first day I went into the studio, I was hooked. So More Time Records is a label I run with DJ I Had a Dream. We met, I think, on SoundCloud. One of us DM'd each other and around that time, there wasn't loads of music that I felt like fitted in my DJ sets. Like I was playing a bit of old UK funky, and there was 2 or 3 producers that I was playing, and I was playing bits from like African artists and stuff. But in the UK, there wasn't loads of that sound that I was finding to play, and I heard Ahad's music, and I was really into it. We kind of linked up. He invited me on his radio show and we were chatting, and he kind of introduced me to this whole scene that I kind of wasn't aware of, but was kind of similar to what I was into. At the time, I was toying with starting a label because I had some solo productions that I wanted to release, and I actually hit up Ahad about maybe releasing on the label too, and I liked a lot of his demos, but I felt like I could help him with them. So we got in the studio together and I was helping him finish his tracks. I wasn't really getting anywhere with starting the label, and we realized that maybe if we joined forces, he was working at Boiler Room at the time, was, a bit more kind of admin focused, being in an office every day. And we thought that if we joined forces, we might be able to do it really well together. So we did. So best festival, I'd have to say Glastonbury. Like, it is, as I mentioned earlier, this has had such a huge impact on my life, and I've been very lucky to have played there since 2009. I think I've had at least one gig every festival, and quite often there's been years that I've done like 6 in one festival. That's a bit much. Like 3 is a nice sweet spot, I think. Venue-wise, I was resident DJ at this place called Native. They had this night there called Run, which at the time was just like a legendary club night. It was on a Tuesday night. It was run by a duo called D Minds, who were kind of drum and bass local legends, and they created a residence list of like all of the biggest hitters in drum and bass. Like you'd have Andy C playing down there in a 200 capacity club on a Tuesday night, and the queue would be going round the corner. It was just like my local place. I'd go down there, even if I wasn't working, I'd be hanging out, we'd get cheap drinks and all my mates would be there, and the system was great. And Carpet Shop reminds me a little bit of like that small, dark, intimate room, nice stuff, good vibes. So yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite venues. Yeah, I don't really like the concept of genres. You know, when I'm looking for stuff to DJ, I'm kind of often looking for stuff that sounds fresh and interesting to me, whilst also being danceable and fun. But having said that, I've got a soft spot for soca music. Like, I've spent a lot of time in Trinidad and going over there for Carnival. I never really understood soca music till I went to Trinidad Carnival, and you go over there and the sunshine and the rum hits you, and that music just totally makes sense. My favourite musical artist, absolutely love Cleo Soul, and to be honest, anything that's produced by Inflow, like for me, I'd probably say Inflow. Anything he touches is like, Biggest musical influence. I've been asked this before, and I always say, rather than a single artist, I would say two places. I kind of touched on them both in this interview, but Glastonbury Festival or three places: Glastonbury Festival, Bristol, and Trinidad. Three places that have kind of been really pivotal in forging my creative voice, I guess. Like Glastonbury Festival, we covered this. I grew up there. I've had so many kind of poignant musical experiences that have really shaped who I am as an artist. And Bristol, a city that I lived in for 10 plus years and still kind of feels like home. Like, it's a city that's kind of famous for innovations in music and art, sound system culture, and I was really lucky to kind of spend a long time deep in the Bristol scene, and that kind of footprint will forever be on the music that I make. And then Trinidad, somewhere I first visited in 2011, I think, and ended up going back there many times, and forged a deep connection both with the people and the music and culture there. I don't have a set creative process. I love to collaborate, and I think when I do collaborate, I tend to be in the engineering seat. I'm not a great keyboard player or musician in general. I tend to be, my skills is more like arrangement, and sound design, and kind of flipping sounds and making them sound interesting. So I love to work with people who are good players. Like my project just now with K-Shab from Trinidad, we work really well together because he's a drummer and percussion player, and also can make a good sound out of most instruments. So our setup would quite often be me on the computer and he'd be playing something and I sample it and then we'll twist it up. Often these days I found that I'm most creative because I spend all my day in the studio, like working on other people's music, and I'm really honing in on the sound. I find it quite nice to just sit on the sofa with my laptop, just working on the laptop speakers and just messing around with ideas on the laptop speakers, because I can't go too deep into like how it sounds there and then. I have to be, you're more just messing around with ideas, and then I can take it to the studio, and I'll probably take about 3 years to finish that idea from there. But the bulk of the idea can come out just messing around on my laptop, like without even using headphones quite often. I like to be quite limited with sound sources. Like a lot of the time I'm just using the Logic sampler. I do have a few soft synths. I've had hardware over the years, and I always find myself finding it very easy to just play around all day and not really commit to anything. I think I've been most successful where I've had a limited sound palette and just processed it from there. So if I was to choose a particular plugin, I would probably choose Echo Boy by Soundtoys, which is a delay plugin, but it's really versatile in what you can use it for. I don't just use it for delay, I'll quite often use it as a saturation tool or a tool to You know, I use it to create sound effects by, you know, turning the feedback up and changing the speed and yeah, I just find it really fun, creative tool. Favorite tune that I've ever made? That's a hard one. So back in my early days of drum and bass, I made a track called Get Low. It was released on DJ Clips's label, and he actually helped me finish it as well. So big up to Clips on that. That's one I'm really proud of because I still hear it today. Like, I made it, I think it was released in 2009 maybe. And you still hear like people like Andy C, you know, the biggest drum and bass DJ in the world, he's still playing his sets now and again. So that's definitely a proud one. I mean, there's lots of tracks that I've maybe not made but worked on that I'm super proud of. But yeah, that's one that springs to mind, I'd say. Advice for someone looking to make it in the music industry. Don't do it unless you have to, because it's not easy. It's like, you have to wear many hats. Like, I think gone are the days where you can survive as just a DJ or just a producer. Like, my main job these days is a mix engineer. I kind of produce for fun, but I still make a little bit of a living from that. I run a record label, a DJ, I do mentoring, I run a club night, all sorts of other stuff in between. You kind of have to create, I heard someone say once, a spider web of income, like streams. Like, you can't just rely on one thing. And I think the other most important thing is you have to be yourself. Like, there's so many people out there. For me, as someone who's been in it a long time, like, I'll hear something and I'll be like, that sounds like someone else, but just not as good. It's really important to try, like, find your sound, and don't follow fashion just because you think that might get you more bookings or that's popular right now. I think the cream always rises to the top. My favorite kind of cheese, halloumi. A decent one that's not too salty, but like when halloumi's good, it bangs. Favorite girl or boy band? Backstreet Boys got some bangers. Coke or Pepsi, neither. Oh, I don't mind Coke with a bit of rum in it sometimes, and a bit of lime, but yeah, not on its own. Or maybe, yeah, if I'm hungover, I might have half a can, but yeah. Favorite fast food chain? I'm not a big fan of any of them, but if I'm in Trinidad, KFC, but it hits different over there. They season it differently. Favorite city? Probably Port of Spain, Trinidad. Yeah. Ooh, Nike or Adidas? Adidas. Favorite film or TV show? Maybe it's a bit obvious, but The Wire. What career would I have if I weren't in music? Well, if I didn't work in music, I probably still would work in some kind of art or something creative, I think, like maybe graphic design or even video or something like that. Something creative, I think.